Hi, I'm Brad Karsh, president of JB Training Solutions. And one of the things that I do is I travel the country working with corporations, talking about how to work across the generations. And I work with managers about how to work with millennials. I talk to millennials about how to work with managers. So if you saw the most recent issue of Time magazine, it's all about millennials, the me generation. And while I was excited to see millennials on the cover, I think the author missed a few things that are really important to understand about millennials. Now in the article he talks a lot about millennials, and Time magazine obviously discusses a few different things. And I want to read some quotes, okay? Companies are discovering that to win the best talent, they must cater to a young generation that is considered overly sensitive at best and lazy at worst. This is a generation that refuses to pay its dues. And what worries parents, teachers, and employers is the latest crop of adults who want to postpone growing up. At a time when they should be graduating, entering the workforce, and starting families of their own, the 20-something crowd is balking at those rites of passage. Sound like millennials? Actually, that is from Time magazine, what I just read you, only it wasn't about millennials. What I just read you, the quotes that you just heard, are from Time magazine in July of 1990. Most millennials were not alive. So when we sit here and we rail on the generations and they say that they just don't get it or they're lazy, we've been saying it since the beginning of time. Every generation complains about the one before them, and while I hate to admit it to you, half of the issue that older generations have with millennials is they're just getting old. I can guarantee you this, roughly 20 years from now, there's going to be an article written by a millennial complaining about the generation right below them. That's one. Two, I call this, you raised them, now manage them. What's really interesting to me is that much of how millennials were shaped is how they've been shaped by their parents. And when I do my sessions for managers and I talk about the relationship that millennials have with their parents, many people are astounded. And I share stories about how students in college these days, millennials, actually have their parents proofread their papers while they're still in college. And boomers and Xers are dumbfounded by that. They can't believe it ever happened. And then for a joke, you know what I do? When I have a room full of boomers, I say, how many of you have actually proofread a paper of your son or daughter? Very, very sheepishly, many hands go up. It takes two to tango. It's hard out of one side of your mouth to complain about millennials when out of the other side of your mouth, you're the person who's contributing to the way that they are. And the third one, we hear a big rap about how they're just really lazy. I don't think millennials are lazy. I think they're really hardworking. But I will tell you something. They're not really good with uncertainty. And when they don't know what to do, they sometimes tend to do nothing. They've led very, very structured lives with more activities, more sports, more clubs. And as a result, they're used to people telling them what to do. So when somebody gives them an assignment with no parameters around it, they tend to do nothing. I work with a millennial, and he gave me a great quote. And he said, Brad, I deal much better with adversity than with uncertainty. And I think what we're seeing in millennials is not that they're lazy, but they're just not sure what to do, so they don't do much. So there you have it, a few different things. I'd love to hear what you think. Tweet at me, @Brad Karsh. Bye-bye.